Hello! Welcome to the Learn American English channel, where you learn naturally so you can speak naturally. In this video, we are going to listen to conversations about factory safety. This video is divided into two parts where the characters will talk about personal protective equipment, identifying hazards, and assessing risks. There will be a listening comprehension quiz at the end of each scene. So, listen carefully and see if you get all of the questions right. Also, be sure to stay with us until the end of the video. We'll point out important words from the conversations, everyday slang, and the most common way to say things in English. Watch for these words and phrases in the subtitles. You'll find their meanings in the vocabulary section in the last part of the video. Are you excited? This should be fun! First, let's listen to a conversation between Ivan and Gideon as they talk about personal protective equipment. Let's see how their conversation goes, and don't forget to note the highlighted words for their meanings at the end of this video. Let's dive in.
Hi, Gideon. Welcome to the factory. I'm Ivan, the safety officer. Let's start your safety orientation. It's important to keep safety in mind at all times here.
Thanks, Ivan. I want to make sure I follow all the rules.
That's the spirit. Today we'll focus on personal protective equipment, or PPE. Have you heard of PPE before?
Yes, a little. It's the gear we wear to stay safe, right?
Exactly. PPE protects you from potential hazards at work. We use different types depending on the job.
What are those?
We have helmets, gloves, and goggles. Helmets protect your head from falling objects. You'll need to wear one whenever you're in the loading or construction areas.
Got it. What about gloves?
Gloves are for hand protection. For example, when handling sharp tools or chemicals, always wear gloves. Different gloves are made for different tasks, so check which one you need.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind. What about goggles?
Goggles shield your eyes from dust, sparks, or chemical splashes. Anytime you're cutting, grinding, or using chemicals, goggles are a must.
Got it.
Now let's talk about proper usage and maintenance. PPE only works if you use it correctly.
Like what?
For helmets, make sure they fit snugly and adjust the strap. Don't just balance it on your head. It should stay put even if you move around.
Got it. What about gloves?
Gloves should cover your wrists completely. If they're torn or worn out, replace them immediately. It's like wearing shoes with holes, not much use, right?
True, that makes sense.
As for goggles, clean them after use. Dust and scratches can block your vision, and that's no good when you're working.
Got it. Clean and replace if needed.
Exactly. Finally, let's go over situations where PPE is non-negotiable. Anytime you're near machinery, handling chemicals, or working at heights, you must wear the right gear.
What about emergencies?
Great question. In emergencies like spills or fires, PPE like gloves and goggles will help protect you while you evacuate or assist.
Sounds like PPE is a lifesaver.
It truly is.
Thanks, Ivan. This has been really helpful.
You're welcome. Later we'll discuss hazard identification and risk assessment. For now, let's have a short break.
All right, thanks again, Ivan.
No problem. Stay safe out there.
Here are some listening comprehension questions to see how well you understood the conversation between Ivan and Gideon. What does PPE stand for? PPE stands for personal protective equipment. What should you do if gloves are torn or worn out? If gloves are torn or worn out, you should replace them immediately. Why is it important to clean goggles after use? It is important to clean goggles after use to avoid dust and scratches that can block your vision. So, did you get all the questions correct? Let us know in the comment section. Now, let's continue listening to a conversation between Ivan and Gideon as they talk about identifying hazard and assessing risk. Let's see how their conversation goes, and don't forget to note the highlighted words for their meanings at the end of this video. Let's begin.
All right, Gideon, now let's talk about something equally important. Hazard identification and risk assessment.
Sounds serious. What's that all about?
It's about spotting dangers and figuring out how to stay safe.
Got it. So what are the common hazards here in the factory?
There are three main types we deal with: chemical, mechanical, and electrical hazards.
Can you give me examples?
Sure. Chemical hazards include things like cleaning agents, solvents, or any chemicals that could irritate your skin or lungs. For example, if you're handling paint, You need gloves and a mask.
Oh, I see. What about mechanical hazards?
Mechanical hazards come from machines. If you're working near machinery, always stay alert and follow safety procedures.
And electrical hazards?
That's anything involving electricity, like faulty wires, exposed circuits, or wet surfaces near outlets. One wrong move and you could get a nasty shock.
Yikes, that sounds dangerous.
It can be, but that's why we take steps to identify and assess risks. Let me walk you through the process.
Okay, I'm all ears.
First, observe. Look around your work area for anything that seems unsafe, like a leaking pipe, a frayed wire, or a machine missing its guard.
Kind of like keeping an eye out for trouble, right?
Exactly. Second, assess the risk. Ask yourself, how likely is this hazard to cause harm? And if it does, how severe could the harm be?
So it's about figuring out what could go wrong and how bad it could get.
That's spot on. Once you've assessed the risk, the third step is to decide on preventive measures.
Like what?
For chemical hazards, use PPE like gloves and masks and store chemicals properly. For mechanical hazards, ensure machines have safety guards and follow lockout-tagout procedures during maintenance.
What about electrical risks?
Always check for damaged cords or outlets and avoid water near electrical equipment.
Makes sense. It's like fixing a problem before it happens.
Exactly. Prevention is better than cure. Also, report hazards immediately, even if they seem small. Small issues can snowball into big problems.
Got it. Better to be safe than sorry. Thanks for explaining everything so clearly, Ivan.
You're welcome, Gideon. Let's wrap up for now. If you have any questions later, just let me know.
Will do. Thanks again, Ivan.
Before we review the key vocabulary from these conversations, here are some listening comprehension questions to see how well you understood the conversation between Ivan and Gideon. What are the three main types of hazards mentioned? The three main types of hazards are chemical, mechanical, and electrical. What is the first step in hazard identification and risk assessment? The first step is to observe and look for anything unsafe. Why is it important to report small hazards immediately? It is important because small issues can become big problems. So, how many questions did you get right? Let us know in the comments section. Now let's review the vocabulary from these conversations. First, we'll review some of the natural-sounding everyday phrases used by native English speakers. Watch the video again after you study the vocabulary words to learn them even better, and subscribe to see our other videos. Keep safety in mind. Remember to stay aware of safety. Stay put. Remain in place or stay where you are. Non-negotiable. Something that is required and cannot be changed or ignored. Sounds serious. Indicates that something seems important or requires attention. Spot on. Exactly right or accurate. Now let's review other key vocabulary. Orientation. A session where you learn important information about a job or place. Rules. Instructions or guidelines that tell you what you can and cannot do. Hazards. Things that can cause harm or danger. Shock. A sudden jolt of electricity that can harm you. Lockout, tag out. A safety procedure to make sure machines are turned off and cannot be turned on accidentally. Were the conversations relatable? Try using these conversations with your family and friends. Thank you for watching the Learn American English channel where you learn naturally so you can speak naturally. Please click the like button and subscribe to our channel to see more videos like this one.